You will. They have my voice, right? This one will too. Okay. So we'll start with the index page. This is the wall login. And I have a form posting with an action of value of login for the login, which is email and password. And we'll do the same thing for the registration. Any questions, just shout them out. Email, password. Password. And oops, type is text. And this one is name. We'll just have one name. We don't need to worry about first name, last name. These are both submitting to process page. And so
you leave your passwords as text, not password.
which ones?
The input type, you leave it as text rather than password.
Oh, nope, that should be password. Thank you. Okay, let's just do a little bit of styling. Okay. And inputs, we're going to set them to be display, inline block, inline, I should say, not inline block. Actually, block elements, excuse me, so they're on top of each other. And let's put some label, email. Password. Same thing with that, email, password, name and password. Cool. Email, password, email, name, password, confirm password. This one will be login. This one will be register.
Could you pull your browser slightly to the right?
Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot that it actually does that. Yeah. Cool. It's different on my screen as well. Okay. Okay, we have login, we have register. Do we want to do anything more here? I think that's good enough. And so they're both going to post to process.php. Right, so in process, I'm going to kind of pull this aside. I have just, if it's set up action, that's been posted, and the value of that action is login. I know I'm logging in. This is what I was doing before, just testing, but we don't need that anymore. We're going to do a die and say process.php login. Of course, at some point we'll do header, and then, oops, and they'll do exit right afterwards, because that kind of goes together. And then we'll do the same thing down here, else if. In this case, we want to check for registration, because we are assuming here in the hidden input of action, the value is either login or registration for one of the two forms. And that's why these two will execute in different times. Great, so this is registration. Notice, I know this will work. I'm 99% sure it'll work, but I don't chance it. There's no reason to chance it. I can just click on this and make sure that it goes to it. And I don't think it did. It didn't save it? Yeah, it didn't. Okay, so that's actually good.
That 1%.
There it is. So that semicolon needs to be there, and that semicolon needs to go there. Right, that 1%, right? I could have just taken it by chance that it would go there, but why not double check and make sure it's working? Okay, cool. These two are working. I'll never have to go back to check these again, ever. It's true, though. I won't. And before I redirect to the wall, I'll leave these things on there and do everything prior to them, so it always stops there. There's no reason to exit this page until I'm done with it. So we need to connect the database. So let's connect the database. I have my connection page just attached to it that is just defining the host, the user, the password, the database schema. And we need to create a schema for this. We'll create a brand new database. Creating a schema. That's going to be called the wall schema. One of many. Oh, cool. That's the new one. So the wall schema is the one that I just generated. I have no tables. I'm going to create a table. First one is the users table. Has an ID, which is auto incrementing, just like most tables. Then we have the name. We have the email, password. That's it. No confirmed password is needed in a database. Usually varchar, they're set to 255 just for more characters. For whatever reason, somebody has a larger name, but it's not required in any way. So I'm going to set them, apply, close, cool, I have them set. I'm going to, here's my tables, I'm going to add another table for messages. I need an ID. I need a user ID because it's connected to the user. I want to know which user created this message. And that can be an integer. I need the content. I'm going to call it content just for naming purposes. The content of the message can be text, which means larger size than varchar. I think it's like 2,000 characters or something. And besides user ID and content, what else do we need? Oh, right, absolutely, let's do that. Sure.
The message. Oh, that's content.
Right. Created at and updated at was a great idea, though. Let's start using those. It'll be a little longer, but it will be foolproof. Go back to users and include them. Oops. They're pretty much a must. Having created and updated at on every table is pretty much like a must. Triggers is somewhere where you can actually create the created at and updated at updating through SQL itself, as opposed to doing it in your code. We do it in the code, but you could use triggers here and say either before or after deleting, inserting, or updating, which is any of the connections that you'll do to the database. You can have this run a SQL command that will update that table. So it just does the update from here. But you know, one or the other. I'm used to doing it on the code, and I like it that way better now. Again, just if you guys don't remember or have not noticed, under the tables, under the schema, you can right-click on the table and click Select Rows to see the rows. And we have no messages, but because we're going to be testing this, we're going to hard code a content. First message from first user. This is just a really good create app, updated app. I'm not even going to include because I don't want to try to figure the pattern. Message from the second user. Message number 2 from the first user. So I'm just putting a sample data here. Message number 2 from the second user.
Why is ID not auto-incrementing?
I don't touch that because when I hit apply, it will generate. So let's take a look at this. Click apply, and it'll say pretty much the insert into, same thing as we used to. It just includes the schema before the column.
Delete a row and you auto increment again, will it reset it or will it have holes in it from the ones you deleted?
It'll have a hole in it, yeah, unless you truncate.
So it'll never go back and reassociate the deleted number.
Correct.
You
So-
say like alter to be able to do that, right? Like re-increment it or set the auto increment to 1.
If you want to change.
You better make sure there's nothing linked to it. if you do that.
Yeah, that's it. So usually you truncate the table. And
If
close
you're
it.
adding like a bunch of test records, you can run a truncate table,
Yeah.
it'll take all the records out, but
Oh,
it'll start the primary key one again. So if you're, someone who likes to see that start at 1 and deploy a project, then
So you're saying
It's
put in
satisfying.
those pretend messages just so we can test
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes, exactly. I'm not sure why it's not. I'm going to try to hard code these and see if that's the issue. I don't know why it's giving me that error. Huh, okay.
It
Maybe
worked
you do
for
need
me
to put it-
without.
Right.
I
It
did not
usually
put-
works without, but
Yeah.
whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, so I will do the same thing actually for comments. Because I want that there. Because before I ever add a message in the database or remove a message from the database, I want to just print them all and see them. Yeah, because it'll be right after HTML.
So this is a new table, comments.
Yep, comments needs the ID, which is also auto increment. It needs the user ID. It needs the message ID, because I need to know this comment belongs to what message. And I need the content of this comment, maybe text, versatile, and then I think just create it as.
Do you find it's easier to make the tables like this versus doing the model?
I do, yeah. I don't need, like, if I kind of have it thought out in my mind, I would probably, what I do is actually graph out. The last project I did, I graphed out the tables and how they link together, and then I just created it this way. It's just in my mind, I just prefer it that way.
If you do the model, though, doesn't it have to do all your foreign keys?
It does, it does.
You don't have to worry about
Yeah, right.
Ran into some problems going from the model and trying to, I guess, create a schema out of it last night. So I just kind of
Foreign key constraint.
There's an export, though, you can do.
There's an export. You
That's
can
what
do.
killed my computer.
Yeah,
Yeah, the export. I did
Yeah,
a
the import of it.
Ford engineering or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work last night when I was doing it. So the TA just kind of walked me through recreating everything, and then manually adding the foreign keys.
I'm just adding a couple things here for comment number 2.
Had you already added a manual for key? Or have you not?
Now, I'm not touching any foreign keys at all. I'm not adding any at all. So I added a couple comments only on the first and second message of only the first user. That's fine. We don't have any users yet. That's fine. We're gonna add them. We're gonna add them on there, so it's not a big deal. So I'm gonna go back. So we created a database. I should have done that first, and I apologize. But we do want to create a database first, and then after we get the create database, we can create the HTML, CSS, which we created the HTML there. We created HTML for only the front page. Let's go to the wall and create that. Just an H1 tag for the wall. Let's get rid of that for a second. We don't need it. Create message. Let's see what that would look like. / process.php. Oop, I'm sorry, the wall.php. Create a message, great. So after create a message, we'll show all messages. Messages. There's messages. In messages, we'll have each message, right? So perhaps an H4 that is from James Johnson, December, no, Tuesday, March 10th, 2:32 p.m. So this is a message. I don't want to type it out. So just a shortcut to just get a bunch of random text so I can see it. There is James Johnson's message, and we'll just duplicate this one more time to show one more person's message. There's someone else's message, and then we'll add comments under each message. So this message has in it a comment, so we'll put on here perhaps an H3 and no, H5. Is there such thing as an H5? There is, cool. So there's an H5. So this will be messages. Messages, message comments. No, it should be. How about this? Message. And then do the same thing for comments. Okay. So I'm going to put this stuff inside of a div for a purpose. This will be a class of messages. And I'll do the same thing for the comments. And this will be a class of comments. Because they look too close to each other. And since this comment belongs inside of this message, this division should go down here. Cool. Does that make sense what I'm doing? Is there shaking heads or? Okay. I'm just pretty much creating the layout for my message to comments. Looks the same, but now I can just do a little bit of styling and set the comments. Oh, I don't have any HTML up here. Maybe I should do that. Okay. Now we can add a little bit of styling. So div dot comments, we want to do margin left 20 pixels. There we go. So the comments are just indented a little bit, maybe even like 30 pixels, so we can clearly see them. So now we can kind of see where each message comments comes in. After each comment, though, if we look at the wireframe, we have a message box just like we do here. Well, first off, this message box is way too small. We need to make that larger. Let's do that. What's the problem with this message box? How can we make this message be larger? Text area, exactly. Yep, that's what the purpose for text area is to get the name of this text area is still content, and we can give it a class of message comment of message, a class of message.
So do you also need another text area for the comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm going to call the text area with a class of message, and I'm going to set the width to be 500 pixels. There it is. And display, I think block, there we go, so we get the submit button on the bottom there. So there's my message. So why don't we just do this 100%? What does that look like? Okay. And why don't we just take the whole thing here, call on the body, and make the width be 720 pixels. Wow, I'm really far zoomed in. That's odd. That's 100%. Okay, so we'll go back to here. So we have the message there. Something looks weird about this. There we go. That looks a little better to me. So we have the message there. When type it in, hit submit, it'll go to wherever it's going to, and that's fine. And we'll do the same thing with the comments. I feel like we still need like 50 pixels.
Why did it process PHP? Did you get that error?
Oh, I clicked on the submit button here, and it's actually there's actually a.
You got it set up process.
Yeah, I haven't messed with it yet, and there's probably an error in it, so I just ignored it. So we got that part done. We just do the same thing with comments. I need to be able to add a comment. So in the very bottom of comments, inside of the comments division.
How you recommend doing it is like setting it up before you even.
Oh yeah,
pick it up.
100%. Like it should look done. As a matter of fact,
It should.
when you do a project, you do it to the point where it's a clickable prototype, meaning that I can click on links and links take me to those different pages, and they look real, but everything's the same data. You know, the data doesn't change. It's not from the database.
Smoke and mirrors.
Exactly. So I'm going to take this and put it here. You'll see soon why that this is so beneficial. So this one is comment. Text area for class comment. Let's see what that looks like. All right. So we're going to give this class of comment, and then let's give it a class of just comment. So this box, I'm going to move it over to where this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put them in line here. So I can either use the same name or change the name and use more styling. I'll do that. This is called comment. This class is also going to, well, I don't know if I'll need that one. So let's just say comment. Div comments, comma, text area dot comment. I want both of them to have the same margin left. Okay. I might as well just do all of them at that point, because I need to also move this little guy. There we go. And then this text area message is 80% wide. Text area dot comment is going to be width 50%. There we go. So there's the message. I can click on this to add more messages. Here's a message. And my message shows me the comment. And under the comment, I can add more comments of my own. Should be appending to the comments box. So let's look at the divisions. There's a message of its own up here. And then we have the message. And then we have a division that has in it all the messages. And this is one message block here from beginning to end, right? So, let's get rid of this. The naming is a little off, I think. I think this should be message, no space, I mean no E, no S. And actually I didn't even styling that. So the reason why is because I want to be able to think of where my loop is going to start and end. So I know that this part here is going to be there forever. I'm not going to ever touch that. But I know that here I can add a comment and say message loop. This is just for my own information and for you guys to see. And that message loop should end where? It starts not there, but there. And the message loop ends in this division before that division ends. So here I can put end the message loop. So that whole loop right there, from here to there, that chunk is going to be repeated for every single message generated. And this should be, I think, comment, not comments. Let's make sure I didn't screw anything up. Nope, I didn't. Okay. And I can have here a division. Yeah, I need a division here. Class comments. Inside of the comments class, I'll have each one of the comments being generated. So this is one comment being generated. That'll go in here. Oops. Bear with me for a moment here to fix this. So every time I just need to, so here it is. Comment loop. Comment loop starts there, and comment loop ends here. So in theory, I could add that another one of them here. In that message, in the div comments, I can append an entire set of these here. And I can do more, and more, and more. So this person is getting like multiple comments. So this one message is getting multiple comments. And now if I wanted to, let's just say this was replicated, inside of message, that's the message loop, excuse me. That whole thing, I can add one more time here and one more time here, and the pattern should follow through each one of the messages and all the comments of the messages. Does that make sense? Like I just took the blocks and made sure that they replicate the right way, so that when I go back and I need to edit comments, it's going to be so easy. Honestly, it's going to be super easy.
So those will all be uploaded later.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to get rid of all the duplicates for comments just because I don't need them anymore. I know that all I need to do is loop this for each comment of that particular message, and I need to loop this whole thing all the way to here for each new message. Now, the where it's going to go, if we were using, later on we'll use Ajax, which we can do these things without changing pages. So having a division that says all messages are here, and each message has its own division, is going to be more crucial. Right now I can kind of mess around with the for loops and put them where I want, but having a big box here called messages, and inside of messages I have one of the message and another one of the message is going to be important later on. So I'll do it because it's just good practice. So since I add another division on top of all of this, I have to go here and tab it over. But now I can kind of, there we go. Perfect. There we go. I'm going to go out a little bit just so you guys see the pattern? Awesome. So inside of messages is where I'll append more of those more of these blocks of messages that started in here. And inside of comments, I will append inside to this div, I will append more of these blocks right here. That's the pattern. So now I know kind of like where I'm going to put the things at and what I'm going to put in them. Here's the name, here's the date, here's the content. Simple as that. Okay, cool. That's done. If I had to do more, if I had to create a profile page, I would create it now and make it look the way I want to make it look like. And then I would go start coding. So you pretty much make all your HTML before you move forward.
Can I see how you style the comment boxes? So you just give them widths.
Yeah, I gave widths to the text area and the button, I think. Not even the button, just the text area. And I just margined to the left the division of the comment and the text area. They both have to just kind of move over to the left, to the right. I should say. Margin left, move to the right. Okay.
So the
Just moving them over, just for looks. Okay. Now I would start doing all my PHP process page, which I did a little earlier. So this first one, we are connected to the database, right? So we want to make sure that the registration works, so I can register a user to make sure that works, so I can actually log in to make sure that works. I could just put dumb information in there, but I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to try the login. First off, let's see. I'm going to go back to my main page. Does this take me to the, it does take me to the right place. It takes me to registration. Now I'm here. Every time I refresh, it just refreshes that page. The same post information is sent to this part. It's just refreshing the page. Meaning that as much code as I add here, such as var dump the post, all I have to do is go back here and refresh the page. And it shows me all the adjustments that I did to this page, right? Because the post is always there and always be refreshing the post, I can now start messing with the data and not having to go back, put messages again, hit submit every time. So pre's just to see it a little better. There it is. I have action registration, no email, no name, no password, no confirmation. Do we want to do the validation or should I just skip? Skip, okay. We'll do at least one thing to make sure it's there, right?
I want to see you turn the text boxes red.
Okay. Do you want to do this right now or?
Just one. I mean, you can do it at the end if we have time.
Okay, you know, we can do it right now. So we're going to check on the post content for email because we want to make sure that's there. So if is set, let's just make sure that it's being posted to us. And the post of email, the count, its highs. Is it count or string length? Count. It is count, right? String length, I think is JavaScript. Is more than, less than 0. Well, if it's set and it's more than 0, we're okay. Right? Let's make it simpler. If the count of email is less than 1, meaning that it fails, correct? So we can session, errors, email. I'm using session though, correct? And I can put here just true, or I can actually put a message. Let's put a message. Invalid email. And because I'm using session, I have to start session. Session.
It's doing the if the count is not 1, is that the same as just doing it empty?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that's a better way to use it. I just didn't think about it.
Is empty any different than full quote, like equals full quote?
No, I don't think so. I think it's the same thing. It comes out as an empty string. I think it just counts the string length. And if it's 0, then it's empty. So let's die here and say empty. It got to empty. Why? Because I sent in a string that was empty. And these things here, I need them before the if statement because I need to still verify what I'm passing to it. So, yep, email is empty and it came up as empty. So that executed correctly, which means that I can session inside of the, I can session now errors email invalid, right? So if that's the case, I can say, after all my errors are set, I can say if the session of errors if it's set, right? I don't care how many errors are set. If even one error is set, I'm going to deny this person. I'm going to redirect, or I should say header location, and redirect them back to index.php. Make sense? So we would have technically copy-paste a bunch of these things to check everything, and we would session a bunch of things into errors and email, which is an associative array inside of an associative array. So if I bring them back here, for one, I need to make sure that I'm using PHP session, because I'm using it. So session start. And I didn't do anything. Cool. Is there a die statement here? Oh, that's right. The var dump, of course, cannot be used when we are redirecting people, and that's why it's blocking up there. It came back to this page, and it has error session, but I don't see it. So what I'm thinking about doing is just going to that particular one email, which is here, and under class, I'm going to put PHP tags, and I can just say if the session. Let's drop this down for just a moment so we can see this and get close to it. And the PHP tags will close there. What's wrong? Oh, yeah. What's wrong?
Inside session.
Thank you. Yeah, that looks weird. So if the session of errors, specifically of email, if this thing is set, then echo, we're going to echo string here, and we're just going to echo, oops, single quotes, just 3 single quotes, red. Red is going to be a class echoed inside of the class, because this whole thing is simply class equals this. And inside of here, I'm saying, if this condition is met, print me inside of here the word red, which means that it's going to read out class red, which means if I have here styling of .red, then I can set the background color or the border color, 1 pixel solid red, to give it a solid red color. If I refresh this page and that if statement fails, it will never print red inside of that class element, so it will never be red, right? So if I refresh this page, I have an error. Let's figure this out. If this thing is set, echo red, semicolon perhaps. Yeah, so there it is. It's red, right? But after the fact, I don't care which page I go to after this point, I no longer want that session to be saved. So session destroy here has nothing, there's no reason why not to do session destroy there. Because the moment I refresh the page, right now, it printed red, but there's no session. So if I refresh again, that goes to clear. Because every time it runs a script, it comes to this page with session variables, it prints whatever it needs to considering the if statement, and then after it's done printing, I destroy the session. So there's no longer session. So when this page gets refreshed, it goes back up, checks the if statement. Now the if statement fails because session has been destroyed. So errors are no longer there. So if I submit, there it is. If I refresh, it goes away.
Now, I had trouble at that point with placeholder, because I could get that to work, but then, I would have a placeholder, say it was email, so it would have blah, 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 blah. But then coming back later, it would always just say